Hello, welcome to a very special episode of Codename New 202. Hi, I'm your presenter, Shabu Are You. We're going to dive into comic recap for issue number 262, part 2 of Artificial Intelligence in a second. Right now, I want to take a minute and explain why I didn't have a video last week. For the first time in 15 years, I'm moving. It's kind of difficult. I'm moving for good reasons. It's for my wife's career. I want to support her and more opportunity in the area that we're going to, all within the great state of Florida. But I know, like, as adults, we all go through this, whether it be for family, for work related. We all have to move at some point. So I'm actually reaching out to everybody, and the daunting task I had is taking 15 years of collection, the retro room, and as you could see, this is what the retro room, and you may have seen in my videos how it was decorated. Well, it is all packed away and gone. So it's traumatic, and I'm sure a lot of you that have gone through this can attest to that. It's a traumatic thing. I mean, this room in itself took probably about 3 days for me, and my wife is like, that's your stuff, you pack it the way you want. So that was kind of cool. But it's a tough process because, you know, on one hand, like, this is the first house I bought, on my own after my time with the government was up, relocated to Florida, and starting the next chapter of my life. Now I'm doing a new chapter, and I'm fully supporting my wife in her career. And I'm excited on the one hand, and I'm also a little bit sad. And I know all you guys could relate to that. So anyway, issue number 262. Wow. Now this is actually a very important issue. A lot of people that are jumping in, I think me and HCC 788 have spearheaded this campaign to get people to come on board and read IDW. This is a very difficult issue for those that are new, because basically, let's remember that Larry Hama was writing the yearbook, the Silent Options storyline, as well as the regular run of G.I. Joe. We had the Cobra's Venom storyline, and now Artificial Intelligence. This issue is like taking where's everybody at from all of these stories and dumps it into this issue. So you may be like looking at this, if you read the last 2 issues, like, who the hell are these people? What is he talking about? Because Larry Hama is all over, just giving you updates on these plot points that he had established in all of these other earlier issues. So it's up to me to kind of help bring you up to speed. Again, I hope you guys are reading along, and this is basically a summation. If you are reading, please participate. Give us feedback, just like on the end of, remember when The Walking Dead, they had like an after show? So this is like our after show, and we're going to talk about where we think the story's going, your feedbacks, and if you're following along with me, that's great too. You're more than welcome to input how you feel. And again, with HCC is writing to Larry Hama in Letters from the Pit. I hope people are participating in that. The last thing before we dive into issue, I want my viewers of retro, everybody else's channel, HCC, G.I. Joe Berg, Half the Battle, Joe Fan 82, Retro Blasting, and Joe Motion. All of our cast of characters are getting together for what is going to be an epic Cobra Convergence 4. So I am delighted to be participating this year. This will be my second Cobra Convergence official. One of the main. I'm bumped up. So before I was a supporting cast member, now I am in the regular cast. So I'm really excited about that. So again, guys, please stay tuned. Everybody's working hard to bring the community quality programming. So without further ado, let's jump into issue number 262 of Artificial Intelligence, Part 2. So sadly, I will not be pulling the vintage figures that will be featured in this issue because they're all put away. But let's just say that would be a huge task because there's so many characters that are going to be in this issue. This month's cover variants. Now we have my main man, Nito Diaz, with a killer ripcord for cover A. But the RI of the Baroness takes the case. Come on, you guys know me by now to realize I'm going to pick anything with the Baroness on it. Recall that while their successful initial push into the Revanche hive located in Kansas, Destro and the Baroness have had the tables turned against them and are now running for their lives while being pursued by leader Alpha 001. Just as soon as they jump on the helicopter, thinking that they're on their way from freedom, he just bursts out of the ground with his tentacles and kind of wraps around the helicopter and is pulling it towards him. Alpha 001 keeps repeating the 0011, which is binary computer coding. Destro and the Baroness realize that they've bit off more than they can chew. Mars intel was incomplete, but was it? Now I'm going to pause here for a second. Now, to a lot of old-time fans that are coming into this new, you guys think that Revanche is something new. But in fact, they first appeared around issue 170. They were responsible for the death of Billy back, I think, around issue 173. And it was a combined effort of G.I. Joe and Cobra that was able to defeat Revanche. I think since then, Revanche has gone back to see how they could, reassess their situation in order to achieve their objectives. And they've come to realize that out of the three possible enemies, G.I. Joe, Cobra, and Mars, they need to capture one of them and bring them onto their side. So I'm thinking that Destro was set up and lured there so Revanche could capture him and brainwash him to join their side. Here we see how Revanche is able to reprogram organic life forms. This shit is straight out of a horror sci-fi movie. These cables come out of a Revanche unit and plug into the back of people's heads. The Baroness is captured. Destro comes in for the save. We see all the remaining Iron Grenadiers that are still alive get reprogrammed. And despite all their efforts, Destro and the Baroness also fall to the command of Revanche. G.I. Joe and Cobra don't know it yet, but they have a big problem on their hands. Because now Revanche has the entire Mars at their disposal. And it's going to really be difficult for G.I. Joe and Cobra to stop Revanche. And again, this is the chilling part, is that you see him saying that 0011, and then you see the Baroness and Destro sitting on the platform of the helicopter, and, they get reprogrammed. Their eyes start turning, they turn green, and it's like they also say 0011, in compliance of what, buying into that one unit of Revanche and their objectives. I think this is pretty, eerie. So that's the first of several plot points this issue updates us on. Moving along to the next, at the conclusion of the Cobra's Venom storyline, we deal with the first in G.I. Joe. Sightline's leg was badly injured during the fight with the robot Dr. Venom. His leg had to be amputated. Strangely, Dr. Mindbender, who was saved by Sightline and the Joe team, felt so bad that he sent over a prototype prosthetic leg using Revanche tech. Sightline turns into the $6 million man and zips through the training room in record time. Duke is the most relieved. because now he doesn't have to discharge Sightline on a mission that he had sent him on that ended up costing him his life. Now, of course, they're not going to accept anything from Cobra without going through it with the fine comb, and they noticed that there was little transmitters embedded in the leg to, I guess, spy on G.I. Joe. So they're going to like kind of send misinformation. So I want you to remember that towards the end of this issue. But again, it's the reverse of what's happening to Destro and the Baroness. Revanche tech being used by a human mind shows like something for the greater good. On the other side, we have a human mind being used by Revanche. So while the other spectrum, you see infinite amount of possibilities, Revanche tech is limited under the human mind, if that makes sense. Segueing to the next plot point, we see Muskrat, fresh off the recent extraction of UN workers, heading a team featuring 2 new male G.I. Joe characters, Joystick, who was instrumental with aerial drone support, and Mongoose, who is brand new, making his first appearance. It looks like they are going through simulations similar to the Danger Room in X-Men. I'm going to flat out and say it, it's good because of the recent push for badass female characters that the men's side is getting some much needed attention. G.I. Joe needs to stay away from this SJW nonsense that is affecting Disney, Marvel, and Star Wars, and be true and being equal to both genders and everyone. G.I. Joe is a team of diverse, specialized fighting force, and I'm happy to see that Larry Hama is introducing male characters as well. So this is really important. We are now off to San Francisco. Milo, the youngster who has been assigned to Budo's toolage, is on board a subway. He engages in small talk with another martial arts student. They witness an elderly Asian American being verbally harassed by white supremacist skinheads. Before the boys can come to the elderly gentleman's aid, he magically tells them to remain still. Immediately he knows who and what their trainers are from their calluses on their hands. He subdues the skinheads by just using a demonstration of his power, not telling them violence is not the key. He walks away saying the art of martial arts is attaining the level where you no longer have to use it. And I've said it millions of times. I'm not a big fan of MMA, so this is what I mean. This is what real karate is about, learning to not fight. Zooming back east to Staten Island. Okay, old schoolers, Stalker, Scarlet, and Sean Collins, remember he's the new Snake Eyes, return from taking the vamp out for a spin. Sean and Scarlet begin conducting a routine oil change. One cannot help but feel that sense of nostalgia seeing Scarlet and Snake Eyes and Stalker together. And we all know that it's not the OG Snake Eyes, but still it's just good to see that. And I want to pause here for a second. And I think artist Nito Diaz does such an excellent job drawing Baroness and Scarlet and Dawn Marino. I think those female characters, he does such an amazing job. His action sequences and how he's transitioning from scene to scene is exceptionally done, that it just feels like it's effortless. I want the viewer to note Sean rolling up his sleeves, bearing the Arashikage tattoo for later down in this issue. I also highly recommend going back to look at my coverage of Scarlet's Special Mission issue to learn more about how she is dealing with Snake Eyes' death. It is such an emotional and heartwarming, heartfelt issue that it's a must read. It's a different element that you don't see in G.I. Joe, but it stays within the context of what is G.I. Joe. It just expands on the dynamics and behind the scenes of their relationship that we haven't seen in the Marvel run. So go back and watch that. As Scarlet and Snake Eyes get to work, she notices the seagull that is kind of behaving erratically, flying around. So the drone bird is immediately taken out. It remains to be seen if it belongs to Cobra or Revanche. Now, you guys know how much I love Nino Diaz's artwork. The only little knock I have is that sometimes it's tough to distinguish his female characters. Like, you see that picture of Scarlet throwing the stars, and it looks very similar to maybe Bomb Strike and some sequences of Bomb Strike and also of Helix. But that in time, and more familiarity with characters, that would be amended. Now we only have to zoom across New York City and meet up with Dawn Marino, Jinx, and Helix. Now we know that from the Silent Option storyline that Helix is socially awkward. She's had trouble making friends because, she's different. And she's been doing these special missions on her own. So, this is a way for her to integrate to the G.I. Joe family. And because of her connection with Snake Eyes, she is going with the Arashikage side of it. This mysterious figure shows up. He comes in bellowing Wilfred Owen, to which the girls join in chorus. His name is Leonard, a vet who's had his face disfigured. I have no idea where this is going. I'm sure Larry Hama has plans for Leonard down the road. Finally, we come to Springfield. Cobra Commander and Mindbender are in the midst of a hilarious game of golf. Cobra Commander let Mindbender know that he is wise to him sending over the prosthetic leg to help out Sightline. And, he put it in a transmitter just to spy on the Joes. A Techno Viper comes running up, stating that he has new valuable intel. Apparently, the drone bird belonged to Cobra. They see Sean's Arashikage tattoo, and this has dispelled rumors of Snake Eyes' death. So now, here's the chilly part. The commander is pissed, losing Dawn Marino, and now getting confirmation in his eyes that Snake Eyes is alive. In a chilly manner, Dr. Mindbender indicates that he has something up his sleeve. So what the hell does that mean for Dawn? And what does that mean for Sean? There's so many things going on. And of course, Revanche taking control of Mars. All of this is going to come into play in the next few exciting episodes. And I'm excited because the only way Revanche could be defeated, like they were the first time, if Cobra and G.I. Joe form an alliance. In my mind. And somehow, how is this going to affect? Is Dawn magically reprogrammed that we don't know about? And here's another interesting thing. A segue to next month's cover art. If you notice, everybody on there is from issue 109. All those Joes dead. And also Snake Eyes. So what does this mean? I'm really interested in the next issue. And I can't wait. So I hope you guys like this comic recap. Sorry about all the special features being missing. I know it's just part of the move, but I just wanted to give you this month's comic recap. Thanks again, and look forward to seeing you, hopefully in new digs later.